r/am I the a hole? AITA for kicking my son's girlfriend out of our house? My husband, 58M, and I, 56F, recently met my son's, 24M, girlfriend for the first time. He's been crazy about her. Apparently they've been dating for a year before he decided to have her meet us officially. What he's told us about her all seems great. She just got her degree, was enjoying her job, family-oriented, etc. I'm honestly just glad he's happy with her. My husband and I don't think he's ever been this into someone before, so I feel pretty bad about what I did. Last weekend, he brought her over for dinner. By now we'd been anticipating meeting her with how much our son has been gushing about her. How perfect she is, that she's the one, in his words. They ring the doorbell. We open the door. She looks exactly like her pictures, which is a great start. My son is grinning ear to ear, another great start. We invite them in. She accepts my hug and a firm handshake from my husband, and then she opens her mouth. I'm the one your son puts his penis in. To be frank, I was appalled. I expected my husband to laugh. Both he and my son are jokesters, and as annoying as it can be I love it, but this was just too much for me. Maybe I'm reserved, but of all things she could have shared about my son she told us that. One look at my face and my husband knew how much I disapproved. Maybe I let my expectations get too high, and it's unfair to have them, but I reiterate, of all things to say to her boyfriend's parents, whom she'd never met, she chose that. My son was amused at first, but when he noticed my reaction his face dropped. I felt like he'd sold me the full package, everything he'd always been looking for in a girlfriend. I was too disturbed by the visual it put in my head, and it translated into anger. I told her to get out, and I wanted to say more about how gross it made me feel, but I fortunately left it at that. My son didn't want to go, insisting I give her another chance, but I was too fed up and uncomfortable by this point. Even my husband, who's enjoyed his fair share of raunchy jokes, wouldn't let up. They left and I immediately felt guilty. This was something my son had really looked forward to, and I feel like I took that away over a dumb joke. I tried calling to apologize, but he hasn't responded. My husband thinks she's the one who should apologize. I'm considering giving her another chance, but before I do, was I the Edit, I should clear some things up. My husband had no part in my reaction. I did the kicking out, not him. I don't want him taking the fall for this. He said she should apologize, but I'm not expecting an apology. Sorry for the confusion. My son lives in a nearby state. It can take about an hour to get back to where we live. He also hasn't dated anyone seriously for a while, maybe a couple of years. He told us before that he wouldn't bring anyone home unless he's sure he wants a future with her. We've been asking to meet her ever since he told us about her, but he wanted to be ready. The comment about her looking like her picture shows my age. Sorry for that. He's only shown us her photos she sent him, as he apparently didn't have any of them together. He hates taking pictures and apparently she's always teasing him about it. I don't think he'd ever lie about who she is, but it's just a parental concern I've subconsciously had. I felt the same way about my daughter's, then, boyfriend when we first met him. I don't have any criteria that either of my kids' spouses need to meet. I just hope my kids are happy with them. What I meant by her being the full package was indicative of what he's told us about her. As his parents, we have a good idea of what he looks for in a partner, and she checked off everything based on what we'd been told. And on top of everything, aside from what she said, her appearance was how she presented it to be. Again, we aren't strict about appearances. It's just a relief to have met someone for the first time and they look like what you'd expected. My husband said that I was worried about second-hand catfishing, if that's even a thing, lol. I guess it shows how anxious I was about this. Also, thank you for your comments and rewards. I've had a few people reach out to me personally, too. Thank you for that. Regardless of where you stand, I appreciate it. I personally think everyone needs some room for improvement here, but I've done my part to make amends and I'm waiting on my son to call me. I'll be sure to give an update about how it goes. AITA for embarrassing my sister's friend and making her feel unwelcome. My sister, cousin, and a couple friends came over last night after work. My sister brought a friend of hers I'd only met a few times that I've never had an issue with. At one point I went to the bathroom, and the ladies were in the living room, calmly enjoying wine. When I came out, my sister's friend was in the kitchen, arguing with my son. I asked her what she was doing. She said my son went into the kitchen to get food, and she told him to wait until I came out of the bathroom to ask me for permission. I stared at her for a second and then said, "Who the fuck are you? You don't live here." "He does." "Who are you to tell him he can't go in his own kitchen?" She looked surprised and said she was trying to be helpful. I repeated my question of why she thought it was okay to tell someone they can't use their own kitchen when she's a guest in someone else's house. She dodged the question and then brought up that she's a teacher, which isn't even relevant, and sometimes kids try to get around rules. I asked her what that has to do with anything. I then asked who even gave her permission to go in my kitchen. She said she followed my son in. I said, "So you think my son needs permission to go in his own kitchen, but you can go wherever you like in my house without invitation? So you have more rights here than he does?" She said she didn't feel welcome anymore and was leaving. She went back in the living room, grabbed her bag and walked out. My sister asked what happened, and I explained that she had a disagreement with my son. My cousin and some of the other ladies said they thought it was strange she followed him into the kitchen and had been wondering why she did that, and thought her motive was weird as hell. My sister and a couple other ladies said her behavior was perfectly normal and I was unnecessarily hostile to her. My cousin said, "But why would you confront a child you don't know instead of saying something to the aunt who's right here? That's so weird." Everyone but my sister acknowledged that part was weird, and we all moved on. Later, my sister confronted me privately and said she was upset I chased off her friend. She said she really likes this woman, and that I was way over the top in the way I spoke to her. I can be a little extra when it comes to defending my kid, so was I an asshole? AITA for not telling my girlfriend that my parents are gay? I'm 25. I have two parents. My birth dad, John, who's 48, and my other dad Dwayne, who's 45. I call my birth dad John, Dad. And I call my other dad Dwayne, Pops. My birth dad John was married to my mom for a few years, then she left my dad and yet they ended up divorcing and now she's somewhere in California, I don't know where or what she's doing. Haven't talked to her in ages. So Dad, and Pops I'm super close with. They are the best parents any child could ask for. I love both of them and they've always been with me. My dad introduced me to Pops when I was a little boy and they had told me they were in a relationship, and I was all for it because I had saw my dad become lonely/sad when he was single, so seeing the fact that my dad loves someone and has a life partner made me super happy. Pops and Dad got married, and we've been living an amazing life. I'm probably more too close to Pops than my own dad, haha. Due to the fact that Pops is really cool and he's laid back. I love both of them equally and they love me as well, and I'm blessed to have them as parents. For a few months I've been dating this girl Bella who's my age. I thought she's pretty cute and I liked her. So we kicked it and recently she told me my parents want to meet your parents and want to come over for dinner. I said sure. I'll tell my family. So yesterday, Friday night, Bella comes in. Pops greets her and says, "Come on in sweetheart, dinner is ready." She says, "You must be _________ dad, so good to meet you," and she shakes his hand and she sees Dad come out of the kitchen. He's holding the mac and cheese tray with the mittens and is putting it on the table. Then Bella says, "Who's he?" I said, "Oh, that's my dad." She said, "I though he's your dad?" She's referring to Pops. I say, "Yeah." That's my pops. And that's my dad. She pulls me to the side and says, I didn't know your parents are gay. Oh my god. Why didn't you tell me? I genuinely didn't know why, that'd be an issue or so. Because you're dating me, not my parents and all. So it shouldn't matter. But I guess it's a concern for her. Her parents come at the door after they parked the car and Bella tells her parents let's leave and they left. I told my parents I'm sorry and they said son don't worry this is nothing new haha and then we all sat down and enjoyed dinner and went to sleep. So AITA for not telling?